You are listening to Attractive Relationships, the podcast where we dive deep into the art and science of relationships and communication. I'm Rico Armstrong, your host and advocate for attractive, happy relationships. In a world where relationships play a crucial role in our personal and professional lives, understanding how to communicate to connect with others is essential. Transform your communication skills to increase your social status, your social confidence, and help you gain the best relationships you can have. Welcome to Attractive Relationships. All right, welcome back to another episode of Attractive Relationships. And in this episode, we're going to talk about something that seems to be very common and very popular that people are looking for the answer. And that is in having a difficult conversation with somebody. And the reason why this seems to be so popular is because it's something that we all experience. We tend to want to be able to improve a situation, or if we're really annoyed by something, we don't want to be annoyed anymore. That sounds terrible. But we also don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. And we also don't want to make a situation worse by getting into an argument that doesn't progress to a desired result. And so I'm going to share with you a tip from one of the best psychologists around. Her name is Brene Brown, and she gave, well, let me back up a little bit about Brene Brown. If you have not yet heard about her, one of the reasons why I love referencing her work is because the things that she says is actually based off of not just her own experience, but off of real data after talking to hundreds and thousands of people and other psychologists who collaborate to see if they can agree on something. And so there's a phrase that she has used when trying to broach a topic that it could be very sensitive. And I'm going to tell you the phrase, and I'm going to tell you how I personally used it and see if it might be a situation that works for you. The phrase that she says is when she's having to broach a very sensitive topic, maybe it's annoying to her or frustrating for her, but saying it out loud could hurt the other person's feelings and make things work. She will start by saying, the the story I'm making up in my head is ... And then she'll say whatever the thing is. The story I'm making up in my head is ... I'll tell you how that has actually worked out for me. And instead of having a potential blow up argument, it ended up into a whole day of laughter and me and my wife both getting more of what we wanted. Here's what happened. A little amount to understand the story, you have to understand that in every relationship that I've ever known, this is just my personal observation, that it doesn't matter if two people are clean. One of those two people will be cleaner. In every relationship, there's the clean person and the cleaner person. And in this relationship with me and my wife is the cleaner person. To give you an idea of how clean she is, because this is all relevant to the story, if I clean the floors, which I usually don't, I usually leave that to her. But if I do clean the floors, I'm going to sweep it and I might mop it, or I might spot mop the spots that really need it. What my wife will do is she'll take the mop bucket with the clean water and cleaning solution and she'll mop the floor once. She'll wring out the mop and see that the water is dirty. Naturally, she'll dump out the dirty water, get another bucket of clean water and more cleaning solution, and she'll mop it again. Then she will wring out that mop, see that there's still dirty water in there, dump out the mop bucket, refill it up, more cleaning solution, and will mop again. And she will continue this process 3, 4, 5. I think I've seen her do it as many as 6 times until when she wrings out the mop, the water is clear. That's a level of clean that's not me. It's one of the things I actually really appreciate about her, to her frustration, because I don't have that same standard. I have a higher tolerance of than she does when it comes to being dirty. So imagine my surprise when One day, walked into the kitchen, and there's this red, bright red kitchen towel right in front of our sink. Now, we don't have a big kitchen, we have a galley kitchen. So even though it takes up a little space, it's right in front of the sink where we always go to wash our hands or wash dishes. And I know I didn't put it there. So I started to think, I started to make up a story in my head. Is she trying to test to see what level of tolerance I have for cleanliness? And because she's never done something like that before. And recently, she's also been kind of hinting about how she's been cleaning a lot and is getting a little overwhelming with the current work situation and so on and so forth. I was like, let me just see if she is testing me. So I left the kitchen towel there. Now, I'm not saying this was the smartest thing to do, but that's what I did. The next day, the towel is still there. And I was like, okay, she had to go off to work. Maybe she was just busy. The next day, the towel is still there on the floor. Mind you, it's a small galley kitchen, and we have to walk through that kitchen to get to and from the garage. So if you're thinking, well, maybe she just didn't notice it, there's no way to not notice this towel, in my opinion. So by the third day, I'm like, she's definitely testing me. One thing about me is I hate being tested. If there's something you want, just ask me. I would prefer that because if you're testing me, I get real defiant, as you can see as I'm being in this story right now. I'm telling on myself. And but then I also thought, Rico, you shouldn't be defiant even if she is testing you because she does the majority of the cleaning and she cleans way more than I do and to a higher level. Why am I going to make a big deal about a stupid kitchen towel? So I pick up the towel, I put it in the dirty clothes hamper, and I went on my way. Hey guys, real quick, I'd love to connect with you beyond these episodes, which is why I'm excited to tell you that Attractive Relationships recently started an exclusive newsletter just for you. You'll get behind the scenes stories and additional exclusive content to aid in building your personal attractive relationships. So if you'd like to be kept in the loop, simply click the link in the description below the episode. And the next day, guess what happened? Another kitchen towel was on the floor. And now I'm really making up the story in my head and confirming all the things like she's definitely testing me, but I am not going to give in to this test. If she wanted something, she could just ask me. I refuse to give in to these tests. And one day goes by, 2 days goes by, 3 days go by. And during that time, not only is that kitchen towel on the floor, but there's like little piles, like there was like a little bit of flour left over here, and there was a little bit of yard work that was done, and it came in and it tracked some of the grass and dirt from outside, and that was right by the on the floor next to the back door, and like all these little things start piling up, and I'm like, there is no way in my mind that this is not bothering my wife because she's cleaner than me, and it's getting to the point where I'm bothered by it, so I know it has to be bothering her, but let me see if she's testing me. I'm going to hold out. And I went to a fourth day and everything is still there. And before I go further, I have to say, so I know I hesitate to tell you this story because I know that some of you are going to be like, yeah, Rico, she's really was testing you and that ain't cool. And another section of you are probably going to be like, well, she's your wife and she's probably working hard. The least you could do is help out around the house. Like, and I think everybody can be right. Please don't judge my wife. You can judge me all you want. Don't judge my wife. She's a good woman. She means well. Back to the story. There's no way this is not bothering her. And I want to help to clean up, but I'm also very bothered because I made up the story in my mind. She's trying to test me instead of just talking with me. How do I say that to her without the next few sentences ending up in a big fight? Because walk it through with me. If I say, it seems like you're testing me, that could mean if I'm wrong, she's now offended that I would assume such a negative thing that she for her to do. If I'm right, she could be like, well, if you knew I was testing you, then why didn't you just do it? And kind of like, if you wanted to, you would kind of situation. How do I, so what do I can either, but then I can also just not say anything and just do it and then just be mad that I felt like I got tested, which really annoys me. None of these options sound really great. So we go back to what Brene Brown had taught me that I'm sharing with you. You start the conversation with, the story I'm making up in my head is, and that's exactly what I did. My wife and I were sitting in the living room and I said, babe, the story I'm making up in my head is that you're trying to test me to see what my true tolerance is for clutter and filth. And do you know what she did? She responded with a laugh, and not like a little chuckle. She laughed out loud and then could not stop laughing. And I'm like, okay, she's either laughing because I caught her testing me and I found her out, or she thought what I said was so ridiculous, but also at the same time makes sense. It turns out it was more the latter. She's like, you really thought that I would just leave a kitchen towel? She goes, I don't even remember the kitchen towel being on the floor. And I was like, how could you not remember? Because, and I went through basically all the things that I'm telling you now. And she laughed, and her laugh was so contagious, it made me laugh. And and she's like, I promise you, I haven't been trying to purposely leave things behind for you to clean up. I've just been really tired because work has been really crazy and a bunch of other things are going on at the same time. I said, okay. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up cleaning the kitchen together. We had a nice dinner. And here's what what really was funny is that after we cleaned up the kitchen after dinner, we're both in the kitchen and she looks straight into my eyes and she picks up the kitchen towel and she drops this brand new kitchen towel, clean kitchen towel, right on the floor in front of the sink and laughs. And we just had a very good laugh about it. Here's the thing. Not only did we not argue about it, we had a good laugh about it and a good memory from it. And things have gotten better since. You know, she hasn't been leaving kitchen towels or doing things that seems like it could be a test. And I've been doing better to try to clean up. Everybody wins. So if the next time somebody does something to you that is really annoying, you don't know how to broach the subject, try that. Start the conversation with, hey, I'm making up a story in my head. Could be wrong, but I've got to share it with you. And the story I'm making up is, and what's so genius about that is that you're not accusing the other person of doing something wrong. You are accusing yourself of making up something that could be make-believe. And that's why the phrase works so well, because you're not shaming the other person. You're not judging the other person. You're sharing a made-up story that they can then work with you on. Try that out. Let me know how it works out for you. I would love to hear your story. As we come to the end of another episode of Attractive Relationships, I want to express my gratitude to you for tuning in. Your support really does mean the world to me. Now, if this episode brought you any value, I would truly appreciate it if you shared this podcast with anyone that you think could benefit from our discussions on effective communication and relationship building. Until next time, remember, great relationships start with great communication. So stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep building those attractive relationships.